Welcome back to the channel. Hey, so we're gonna try and get some of this timing stuff buttoned up and see how far we can get before we have to order more parts. But let me show you this. All right, so I ordered a timing cover off Amazon because I needed one in a hurry. But first thing you'll notice, 1, 2, 3 oil baffles versus a little splash guard and a little splash guard. So this one and that one are pretty similar. I already did a test fit. This does fit on there, so at least we're not interfering anywhere. Soonest I can get another one like this is 5 days. So we'll have to think about that. But let me show you this. So here's our engine. If our timing cover is the right one and it's on there right, we have one catch that goes right between these two chains, right? That's the bigger one. It's the big V like this at the top, and you've got one little tab that sits between these two chains, catches it, spills it down the backside right on top of this tensioner. So if I use the cover I have, it's just got a tab here that kind of sits in this space. It would catch whatever oil spills off of this, and instead of catching all the way across here and then dumping it down onto this chain and this guide, you would only catch a little bit of it and it would just dribble. I don't know about that. There's another one, the V with the long scoop, that goes right here, would drip into here and puts oil onto this very back set that goes for the balance shafts. So that provides an extra measure of oil, catches stuff coming off the cover, directs it, spills it right on that gear, lubricates that chain really well. And then the third one goes right here on the bottom of this, right? Basically scrapes the oil between these two chains and dumps it back into the motor. There's an opening, I don't know if you can see it, but there's an opening right there that goes back into the oil pan directly. So if I use the one that I have, it'll only scrape here and dump back into the oil pan and a little bit here and kind of dump it, but then this will just be whatever flows into this area. So not super excited about it. I think what I would do, I think I'm probably gonna wait for the other cover, get it on order, and get that other cover sent in here, because I want the right oil baffles. Even though everything says it's not supposed to fit, it does. The other thing is, this one on Amazon is highly rated with lots of reviews. The one like this, from the one seller that has it, has terrible reviews, 2 stars overall with like 30 odd reviews, and the biggest complaint is that this tab is not in the right place. It's off by 1/4 of an inch. So tough decision. I can look, I know if I get one from ECS that it'll be right and it'll have the right baffles, but then we're talking like 5 days to ship and it's considerably more expensive. But I think what I want to do is get the one with the right oil baffles so that it dumps the oil in the right places like it's supposed to, instead of that one that just lets it slosh around wherever. So that's fun. So if we can't do this cover, what else can we do? Well, I got to get the heat shield back on here. I can start putting the exhaust side together. I can get these solenoids in there, get my PCV on. I can work on the intake side, get that all put back together. The flaps, the injectors, all that good nonsense. Get my wire harness taken care of. Get my alternator back in here. Start getting some of this buttoned up. But as previously discussed, our intercooler, less than stellar. We're going to order a new one of those, $100. Radiator, also not in the best shape. Going to order a new one of those, $100. And on top of that, we're gonna get a new coolant expansion tank. This one is full of schmutz. I can see why as I drain the coolant out of this. I think at some point in this car's life, they did not take such good care of the cooling system and or never flushed the coolant. I don't know. Wouldn't be surprised either way, but it's not good. So that would explain why the water pump is new, why that other feed pipe is new, and why the adapter off the back of the cylinder head fell apart when I tried to take it apart. Good fun. So I think what we're going to do is let's focus on the top of the motor. We're going to focus on getting some of this other stuff buttoned up. I can get the cam bridge back in there. I can get those solenoids back in there. And I'll go as far as I possibly can before I need that cover. Hopefully it gets here before we need it. We'll see. But since it's hot, like always, I'm gonna give you guys a break in the cool. I'll catch you up when we get there. Alright guys, made some progress. Let me show you. Alright, so we got the cam bridge in. Fortunately, we have the new style. Got the control valve in, got this cover on, PCV valve in, torqued, clean, beautiful. Heat shield is on. Next up will be the exhaust, and then I'll deal with this side. But we need a break. So let's take a short break, get hydrated, get cooled off a little bit, get back after it. Stay tuned. Alright you guys, this is how far we made it. So exhaust is on, manifold is on. What do we got? Cat, oxygen sensors, all that good stuff. We're bolted all the way up. I had to take the turbo apart to get this dumb thing together, and I gotta figure out what we're gonna do with this. So do I want to pop this apart and reseal this while I've got access to it, or just go with this one flange that I already have open? So gotta think about that. Then we'll get this bolted back in, get the rest of that hooked back up, and then we'll get the heat shield on there. We'll start working on some of these solenoids and stuff like that. Then we'll move over to this side. We'll start getting this put together. So here we go again. All right, she's bolted back up, but I ran into a problem. I need new crush washers for these two, but I'm out of crush washers. So quick trip, we're gonna go get some crush washers. Hopefully they got the right size. Get back after it. Guess what? More good news. So they don't even have them. So I'm gonna have to order some crush washers. In the meantime, I'll see what else on here I can get put back together. We'll get it sorted. All right, guys, looky what we have here. Looks like our intercooler's here. No, can't see in there. Hopefully it's not busted up. Feels like it's inside its other box. Radiator's here. But this is what we're really interested in. Did we get the right timing cover? Oh yeah, look at that. I don't know, this one's not as nice, but alright, let's give it a test fit. Alright guys, exactly like the other review said. Let's see if you can see. See that? This is where I can't even push it far enough over. So that's where it needs to be aligned for the bolt holes to line up. Focus. That's kind of a problem. And even if I slide it over and try and push it all the way back, we can't get it all the way back far enough to hook it around that. So, just like all the reviews said, that thing's in the wrong spot. But let me compare it to the other one. We'll see what we can do. On the upside, it looks like we got a nice seal on this one, so that's good. Thick rubber with a spring in it. Let me compare. So if we put these two side by side, yep, you can definitely see. This is just off center. This one is like dead nuts in the middle of the hole. Alright, so here's what we're gonna do. See those two little spot welds right there? We're gonna drill those out. We're gonna slide that thing over and we're gonna re-weld it back where it's supposed to be. So I'll have to take about 100 measurements. We'll make sure we get it in the right spot, re-weld it back in place. That's not a project for today. Sucks to suck, but it is what it is. At least we have the old one to measure off of, and I still got to return that piece of junk. So that'll be fun. Meantime, let's work on some stuff that we can get done. So since that's total garbage, we can finish hooking up the plumbing on the turbo, get the heat shield in here, get the solenoids in here, get some of this side buttoned up, start getting some of the electrical taken care of, especially starting at the back of the motor, and then we'll work our way forward. Intake manifold, look at these things. Those are not walnut blasted, those are cleaned with the oven cleaner method. Works so good. Okay, here we go. All right, you hooligans. Look at that. We got her in. There's got to be a secret to doing this a certain order, and I just don't know it. But that was difficult. I'm glad it's done. That's what we're calling it for today. Batteries are dead. I'm dead. It's time to eat some dinner, and then we got to hit the gym. So let's get after it. All right, guys, we are back. So today, let's get started with this cool intercooler and radiator we got. So because it makes it faster, of course, we're gonna paint them black. Let's get started. Alright guys, so these are done, looking beautiful. I'm going to flip them over and do the other side just because. Let those dry a little bit more, but those look beautiful. So everywhere you're going to see it on the outside, blackety black. So that's what we're going for. And as you saw, we got the intake manifold in. So next up, I got some plumbing stuff to sort out. Finish getting this wire harness tucked in there. Get the last couple of things hooked up on this side. And then we can start thinking about putting all this back together again. But because you guys won't be able to see most of what I'm doing, I'll spare you the time lapse. I'm gonna put you inside where it's cool. We're gonna get this done. I'll catch you up when we get there. Okay guys, we're back. Let me show you. I know it doesn't look like much has changed, but all the wires are hooked up, everything, hoses. I still got to get this vacuum line hooked up. It goes clear over to here, but somewhere in that bucket is the hose, so we got to do that. I have this sensor, and I can't find which wire harness comes over here, so I'm going to give it a little bit. When I start hooking some of the other stuff up, I think it's on the same one as the electric fans, so not going to sweat it just yet. I'm waiting to put the tensioner on until we get the cover on, but we're most of the way back together, making good progress. So next up, we're gonna get this motor mount in and clean up that mess. Then I'm gonna start working on the timing cover, get that sorted out, get this mess cleaned up, and then we will get these pieces cleaned up. We will get that piece cleaned up. Once those are all clean and shiny, we'll get them put back in. Alright guys, let me catch you up. Look at that. Those look beautiful. Can't wait to get those in. And I hosed these all down with the oven cleaner trick. We're going to get these cleaned up, and while I was at it, the grates for the new smoker, got those oven cleaner too. Now check this out. We got the timing cover fixed, welded, painted. She's a beaut. Okay. And while you guys were in the nice cool air conditioning, we got this all done. All the plumbing is done. Hoses are hooked up. Wires are hooked up. This is the only one I can't figure out. Told you about that already. New expansion tank, all that goodness. We're gonna try and get this put back together. First up, we're gonna get that timing cover on there while those pieces are drying. So, here we go. If you don't know the oven cleaner trick, you're missing out. Looks like brand new. All I did was spray it, soak it, blast it. But check this out. So as I was doing this, I realized once I put this on here, these are gonna show through that fancy new grill that I bought. So we're gonna have to paint these black. I'm gonna give this a few minutes to dry. We're gonna spray these black. Would you look at that? Okay, she's home. Everything's in, buttoned up, timing cover. I still got to torque this bolt, final torque on that. So that'll be fun. We'll get to that in just a minute. But these are painted black. We're gonna let that dry. All of this looks like brand new. I'm gonna be honest, I gave it the Krylon touch. Okay, and that one connector that I couldn't figure out where it was plugged in, I found it. So once I started hooking all this stuff up, it was obvious. So everything is all set. Also, I got the intake plumbing all sorted. We're good to go there. Next up, we'll get that radiator put together, get it bolted in here, intercooler in, air conditioning, good to go. Alright guys, that's what we're gonna call it for today. Radiator's in, intercooler's in, condenser is in. Holy smokes, she's looking good. We gotta get that bumper piece painted so that we can get that put back in. We got a whole other hunk of electrical to deal with, so that'll be fun. And then we got a few more hoses and stuff on this side to get hooked up. But she's looking like $1,000,000. We're almost there, people. Whew, and before you know it, we'll be able to start this thing up. So, we'll call it there. Hopefully this episode was less boring than the last one. The last one was kind of boring. So, hopefully this one's a little more exciting. But, stay tuned. Next episode, we're going to fire this Hummer up and get started on some of the customization stuff. So, brakes, headlights maybe, paint, at least some paintless dent repair. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. You guys stay tuned. We'll have a good time. All right? Stay tuned. Thanks, everybody.